Good morning, YouTube. This is man George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Now, before you, I have one Miss Kim Buck. Now, Miss Buck was born December 6th in Jonesboro, Georgia. Now, as coming up as a young girl, she was really into sports. She started in track and field. She played basketball and also softball. Now, like most female bodybuilders, often you start off with have an athletic past, and that's how she can, from transition from being to bodybuilding. Now, at a younger age, Miss Buck got to a very bad car accident. Now, because of that, it left her unable to walk. So while doing her rehabilitation, she started to use weight training to help her rehab. Now, during that time, she discovered that she was really good at weight training. The weight training really helped her speed up her rehabilitation. More than she got into it, she decided to start a career into bodybuilding. Now, her first show was back in 1998, where she competed at the Georgia State Bodybuilding Championship, where she took third place as a heavyweight. She took a year off. She came back in 2000 and competed at the Coastal USA Bodybuilding Championship, where she took first as a heavyweight. Then she took another couple of years off and came back in 2002 and competed at the Southern NPC Gold Classic Championship and took fourth as a heavyweight. Then she came back 3 more years later and competed at the Junior National Championships and took third as a heavyweight. Now, she took a year off and came back and competed at the GNC National Championship, where she took first as a heavyweight and then won overall. Because of that, that's where she gained her pro card. So in that same year, she competed at the Europa Super Show. Now, as you know, I said before, the Europa is a show that's sponsored by Betty Pariso and her husband, Ed. Then the next year, she came back and she competed at the Jantana, where she took third as a heavyweight. Then she came back in 2008 and competed in 2 more shows, New York Pro, where she took 4th place, and the Atlantic City Pro, where she took 5th. And in 2009, she came back and she competed at the New York Pro again, but she did not place. So, that's here, there. And took a couple more years off to probably just to tweak a little bit some things. And then she won at the Battle of Championships at first place in 2011. Now, when winning this show, that gave her an opportunity to, go climb up and win at the. She took place at Tampa Bay, took 7th at Tampa Bay Pro, and because winning the Battle Championship, it got an opportunity to become her first Miss Olympia, which took 11th. Now, in 2012, she competed at her first Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic at the Miss International, which took 5th place. And then she competed at the Toronto Pro, which she took 2nd. And she came back to the Miss Olympia again, where she took 11th place at the Miss O. She came back to the Miss International back in 2013. She took 7th place. And then next year, she came back and do a few more shows in 2014, where she competed at Chicago Pro, which took 7th. The Pittsburgh Pro, where she won at 2 classes for Women's Masters at 35 plus and Women's Masters at 45 plus. In that same year, she competed at the Tampa Bay Pro, which took 8th. In 2015, she came back and competed at the Tampa Bay Pro and took 13th. And 16th, on the 16th of 2016, she competed at the Puerto Rican Pro, which she won, which gave her a shot to the Rising Phoenix show, and where she placed 6th. Now, 2017, she won the Toronto Pro, which also gave her a 2nd shot at the Rising Phoenix Pro, where she took 7th. She came back in 2018 and competed at the Linda Murray show, which took 5th, and also the Linda Murray is not that far from the Tampa Bay show, where she placed 5th at the Tampa Bay show. Now, she came back for a 3rd time, actually a 2nd time at the Puerto Rico Pro, where this time she took 2nd. And then she came for a 3rd time at the World Championships, the Rising Phoenix, where she took 12th. And just a few months ago, she was the only American to compete at the Romania Muscle Fest, where she took 7th. Now, one thing about Miss Buck, that she is a very talented female bodybuilder, and she's also working on creating a line of athletic apparel dedicated to not just bodybuilders but also to other athletes. Now, so the apparel is called Pro Cuts. Now, I don't have much information about it. I think she's still working on it, but it's really really for apparel for people of athletic for athletes, because mostly most athletes, especially bodybuilders, they can't, it's hard for them to find clothing, especially the women. It's hard to find something to fit because sometimes the bottom be smaller, the top be bigger. The shoulders and the traps and the chest, and then the waist is so much smaller, and the quads and legs are much bigger. So she decided to try to make her own line dedicated to those for those women and just other athletes. It's hard to find for the shop for them. I'm a fan of Miss Buck. I mean, she's a very extraordinary woman, a very strong woman, and I mean, she came from some tough times with her accident, and to pop back and still now to compete in the sport of professional bodybuilding, which is hard for a lot of female bodybuilders because there's not much money, and then also the shows back in the day were a few and far between. But I hope she has a big turnout this year in 2020. I'd like to see more of women of color representing in the sport of bodybuilding. And like I said, I'm always be a fan of my sisters in the iron sport. This man George Page. Like, subscribe. Don't subscribe. I'm out.